the seven best Giannis Antetokounmpo trades in reverse order. So I'm going to start with the seventh best package for Milwaukee and then move down to who I think has the best package. And we'll do that last based on the team, the prospects, the talent, both now and the future. I think Milwaukee is looking for young talent. So I'm going to prioritize both talent and youth and picks. I don't think Milwaukee only wants picks. I think they do want young talent as well. So basically, whatever team has the best young talent and picks is, I think, the package that Milwaukee will choose if they do choose to trade Giannis. So that is who I have last. Going to start with the weakest package first. So I think the Lakers have to be mentioned because they're the Lakers and they always have a chance to get a star. Even though I think they have the weakest package for a trade for Giannis, they have to be mentioned because they're LA, because they have Luka, because they have LeBron. They always have a chance, even if you don't think they do. Nobody would have said that the Lakers had the best package for Luka, and they still got him. So the Lakers trade package would be Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, Austin Reeves, Maxi Kleba, Dalton Connect with one unprotected pick and 4 pick swaps for Giannis and Pat Connaughton. I don't love it from the Bucks' perspective, but if Giannis says I want to play with LeBron and Luka, I think you have to value his loyalty to your franchise over the last decade plus and grant his wish. I think that the Lakers would become the favorite in the NBA if this trade would happen. I don't think that Milwaukee gets enough picks for it, but I think you have to take Giannis's feelings into account here. So it's not only what's best for Milwaukee, you also have to think about what's best for Giannis. So I don't think it's going to be a unilateral move where Milwaukee only cares about who has the best players and picks. I think Giannis will have some say in his destination. So we got to go through destinations that make sense, not only trade packages that make sense. The sixth best trade package would be the Warriors. They could trade Draymond Green, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, Pajemski, and Trace Jackson Davis, along with 3 first-round picks for Giannis. I like this pick, or I like this trade a lot. They have the picks, they have the young talent. I think that Moody and Pajemski represent a lot of talent in youth too. I think it's helpful to get that young talent that Milwaukee desperately needs. Milwaukee has almost no wings that can help the team. I think that if they can get young and at least show some youth and athleticism on the wing, they actually have a chance going forward. I mean, obviously, getting rid of Giannis, you're rebuilding, but if you can get younger on the wing, that's really going to help. The one interesting part of this trade would be, would the Warriors be able to sub out a sign and trade with Kuminga instead of giving up Green? I'm sure the Warriors would rather do that, and the Bucks would probably rather have Kuminga. It's just, would they be able to trade Green in a 3-way trade for more? If they could trade Green in a 3-way trade for more, then it might be better to have Green the asset than Kuminga. And it also would depend on what Kuminga would need in a sign and trade to match salaries, because the last thing the Bucks need is a bad contract, and I'm not sure Kuminga is worth $25 million like Green is getting paid. So that would be a interesting part of the trade as well. Okay, so the 5th best trade package is the Detroit Pistons. They could trade Harris, Stewart, Fontecchio, Sasser, Clintman, and they would go heavy on picks in this trade. So it'd be 4 first-round picks and 3 swaps for Giannis. So this would be one of the teams that could basically trade all of their picks moving forward. This trade would have to happen after the draft because the Pistons don't have their 2025 first round pick that's going to the Timberwolves. But once the draft happens, they could then trade every single pick for the next 7 years. So it would be 4 unprotected first round picks and 3 unprotected swaps. So they would trade every pick they could. This would be a pick heavy package and would still give the Bucks a few young players like Stewart and Sasser and Klintman. And this would be the Bucks rebuilding with draft picks. Since the Bucks don't have any of their draft picks until 2031, this would give them picks each and every year and let them build through the draft. Even though it wouldn't be their own picks, it'd be the Pistons' picks. It would allow them to at least essentially act like they have picks every single year, even though they're not their own. So the Bucks having a bad record doesn't necessarily help them. At least they'd have a pick each season. So the 4th best trade package I have would be coming from the Miami Heat. So the Heat could trade Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, Hayward Highsmith, Jovic, Ware, and Jaime Jaquez, and 2 first-round picks for Giannis, Pat Connaughton, and KJP. Kevin Porter Jr. If they could pull this off, they would have a really, really nice big 3 with Tyler Hero, Bam, and Giannis. I like this trade from the Bucks' perspective because they would actually be getting quite a few nice young players. I think Ware, Jaquez, and Jovic are all really, really talented. That would be your starting center, maybe your starting power forward, and one of your starting wings. Wiggins could also start. I mean, you could get almost an entire starting lineup out of this. It doesn't get you a point guard to replace Dame, but it does get you quite a few starters who are young and athletic, and I do like that for the Bucks. The Heat don't have as many picks to trade as other teams, but you'd be getting better young talent. So this is kind of more of a talent play with players than a picks package. So the Knicks have 2 very interesting trades that they could do here. I have the Knicks as the 3rd best trade package for Giannis. So they could do one of 2 trades. They could trade Cat, Karl Anthony Towns, and Tyler Kolek with 1 first-round pick for Giannis. Or if they wanted to try to keep Cat and Brunson, they could go with OG and Mikal Bridges for Giannis and Pat Connaughton. I'm not 100% sure which way the Bucks would want to go. I would think that they would want Cat if they would go with a trade for the Knicks, because at least Cat represents the closest facsimile of Giannis. He's a star. He's a big. He's like 90% of Giannis. So at least they could tell themselves, hey, we could be pretty similar and still make the playoffs with Karl Anthony Towns. And since they don't have their picks, like I said, until 2031, being good is important. So if you're not getting a ton of picks, at least getting the most talented player is very helpful. The only reason I would consider the OG and Bridges trade package is you are getting 2 starters in that way. And the Bucks are so bereft of talent and depth that getting 2 high quality starters that can start at anywhere between the 2, 3, or the 4 is very, very valuable. These are guys who are better than Middleton has been for the last 3 or 4 years. And this is the start of the Bucks' future. So if they could get both of these guys, I think this would be a good package. I would probably lean towards the Cat package if I had to pick a trade package from the Knicks, but either could be helpful for the Bucks. All right, so we're getting to the last 2. The Thunder, I think, have the 2nd best trade package. This one's going to be big on picks. You'd be getting Isaiah Hartenstein, Ousmane Dieng, Cason Wallace, Topic and Jones, which are their last two first-round picks, and then 7 first-round picks for Giannis. The Thunder have 15 first-round picks over the next 7 years, and it's just highly unlikely that they would be able to get all those picks, keep all those picks, and put all those picks on their roster. You only have 15 roster spots, so you're going to run out of roster spots each and every year to keep all those picks. So a consolidation trade to trade those picks for a star, whether they win the title or not, makes sense. If you could pair their current big three of Chet, J-Dub, and SGA with Giannis, they'd be unstoppable. They already won 68 games this season. I mean, this would be the best team in the NBA since the first year with KD in 17 with the Warriors. And, I don't think they would lose a playoff game next season if the 4 of those guys were healthy. So that would make the best team in the NBA by far. But because they're so good already and may already win the championship this year, this may be the least likely team that would be willing to adjust their talent already. Even though they're super talented, they may not want to add more talent because they've already won 68 games and may win the title this year. And you usually don't mess with that. Even though adding a great player is helpful, when you win 68 games, you probably don't need to adjust the talent pool. All right. The best trade package for Giannis would come from the Rockets. The Rockets have many different trade packages they can do, but I think the best one that they can do, in my opinion, is Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Reed Shepherd, Cam Whitmore, and 3 first-round picks for Giannis and Pat Connaughton. So the reason I love this trade is this gets you 3 starters and a good young bench player in Whitmore. So I would start next year, I would start Reed Shepherd at point guard. I'd give him all the run in the world since you don't have Dame. Jalen Green is obviously your starting 2 guard. This could allow you to let Gary Trent Jr. go in free agency, let Kevin Porter go in free agency. And then Jabari replaces Giannis at power forward. You're probably still starting Kuzma, and then it'll be interesting to see if they do trade Giannis, if Bobby Portis wants to come back. I think it a lot depends on whether he opts in or opts out and what he would want in free agency and whether the Bucks would want to pay that. I think a Giannis trade makes a Porter return less likely, but that's just my opinion. I don't know what Bobby is thinking. He may love Milwaukee regardless of whether Giannis is there or not. But I think this trade would give the Bucks 3 starters and 3 future first-round picks. So it's great value for the now. You don't become a horrible team. I don't know if this team would make the playoffs, but at least you have a good starting lineup that's young, that's athletic, and you have a future. And then you also have picks to add in the future as well. So this kind of gives you the best of both worlds with talent now and talent in the future. I feel like the Thunder trade is basically only picks, not a ton of talent now, guys that you could convince yourself could be an all-star. Jalen Green might be an all-star soon. Jabari Smith looked better a couple years ago, but he still has all-star potential. And who knows with Reed Shepherd? He might be an all-star, in 5 years too. He's got a lot of potential. He just needs to play. The Thunder trade, I don't think gives you any future all-stars. The Knicks trade would give you a current all-star, but not really any picks. The Heat trade gives you players that are good, but I don't know if they're great, so I don't know if there's any future all-stars there. I know Wiggins was a former all-star, but he's kind of past his prime in that respect, and that's not too heavy on the picks. The Pistons, again, they wouldn't be giving you any future all-stars, but they would be giving you a lot of picks. And the Warriors, depending on whether it's Green or Kuminga, they would be giving you a previous all-star who's kind of past his all-star prime, even though Green is an amazing defensive player. And then the Lakers, Austin Reeves may make an all-star team in the future, but they just don't really have any picks. So you're only getting 1 pick in that trade. So that's just kind of why I have the Rockets as the best trade package. I think they give you the best mix of current talent, future talent, the young stars with all-star potential, and still getting high quality first round picks, whether it's the ones from the Rockets or from the Suns. They have a lot of pick potential as well. So let me know what you think in the comments, who you want him to go to, if you like my trade options, which one you think is best, what team you want him to go to, or who you want him to be traded for. I hope everybody liked the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Thanks.